It's no secret that it was a rough year for the LSU Tigers defensively in 2023. You need to look no further than when the entire defensive staff gets let go, and there is a new defensive coordinator brought in by Brian Kelly in Blake Baker from Missouri, and bringing in a new staff. Obviously, there were plenty of ills, plenty of problems that occurred in 2023 that Brian Kelly knew had to be solved. Had a offense that was just off the charts, but could not stop anybody defensively, and really kind of hurt the overall team goals and prospects of that 2023 team. Now in 2024, LSU looks to be improved on the defensive side of the football. But today, here on SEC Unfiltered, we continue our underrated series. Hello, everyone. Welcome into SEC Unfiltered, the best SEC entity on the internet. I am Blaine Gilmer, and we are going to continue that underrated series where we look at players from each team that aren't getting enough love nationally. This isn't necessarily guys inside of the fan base that aren't as appreciated or things like that. Maybe because, listen, everybody in the individual fan bases in the SEC, they're passionate about their team. They know about their team. But people around the league may not know as much about certain guys and may not appreciate, and it, particularly national media and things like that, may not appreciate the type of player that someone is. So I polled a lot of LSU faithful, talked to some people who I consider to be LSU experts in the content space, and one name kept reoccurring when people were talking about underrated. I thought about going to the offensive side and talking about some of the receivers. Listen, I know that Kyron Lacy is going to be wide receiver one. He's going to be great, but I feel like he doesn't get talked about enough for what he's able to do. So I almost went that direction. I could have went with maybe one of the running backs or one of the offensive linemen that gets overlooked a little bit, but I decided to go to the defensive side of the football. And yes, that was hard to do with all of the problems that LSU had last year. But I feel like there's a lot of talk that goes on this year about, okay, they're thin up front on the defensive line. They've got a bunch of new guys coming in the secondary back behind. But at that linebacker level, even inside of the position group, they talk about Harold Perkins learning to play inside linebacker, all these things. And yet Greg Penn does not get talked about enough. We hear about the flash of talent from weeks and things of all that nature that occurred last year. But Greg Penn has just consistently gotten better and better for LSU during his career there. Now, listen, I'm not a huge guy on PFF grades and all that kind of stuff because I don't think some guy that can sit there and grade a game knows necessarily the responsibilities and stuff like that LSU has on their defense. I think you always have to assume things when you're doing that. But Greg Penn has gotten better and better with his PFF grades, his snap counts are always consistent. He's going through, he can do a variety of different things. We're going to show you some film here in a little while of Greg Penn is able to play inside the box, sift through traffic, make tackles. He's a guy who he can work out to the edge in certain situations, take on lead blocks, be able to constrict grass for the running lanes and help people fit in behind him. He's a guy who can play zone coverage. He can pick up running backs and tight ends out of the backfield and going behind the line of scrimmage and things like that out into the flat. He can pick that up off of play action, different things like that when he sees that. And also he's a good zone dropper as well, can get after the quarterback when needed also. So I think Greg Penn does a lot of things. And listen, he's going to be vital. Greg Penn is going to be important to the success of this LSU defense in 2024. There's going to be an adjustment to Blake Baker's defense. And there's something that, when you have a guy in the middle there who is that signal caller, who is a guy who everybody respects and rallies around, that's going to be huge for Blake Baker to tap into, especially when you're thin up front on the defensive line, having to, move different pieces around, moving backup offensive linemen over to the defensive line to get some depth, get some bodies over there. It may be hard to keep off some of those double teams and stuff like that. So you're going to have guys there at inside linebacker that can shed blocks, that can get off of blocks and make tackles. And Greg Penn has shown the ability to do that. Listen, like I said, Harold Perkins is going to get a lot of the talk, especially with the continued efforts to bring him along as a true inside linebacker. But you have a guy who is a true inside linebacker in Greg Penn, and I believe in what he can do. He does a lot of different things. As I've sat down and watched his film, he's a guy that I think is going to be a really good player at the next level. 6'2", 235 pounds, can run. Like I said, he's intellectual about it too. He understands what is going on inside of a defense, and will show examples of that as well. So we hope that you'll watch this film breakdown that we have of Greg Penn, and just judge for yourself. What do you think about him as a player? He's a smart player. He's a guy that shows great effort, and I think he's going to be a great leader for LSU football in 2024. So enjoy this film breakdown of Greg Penn in our underrated series. But first, before we get to that, we do want to tell you about our friends at MyBookie, guys. The March Madness is about to start, and if you want to have a sports book home to do all of your wagering in, then you need to go to MyBookie. It's the nonstop action website for March Madness. Enter the bracket contest that they have, and you can have a chance to win top prizes up to $25,000, or pick from a huge selection of just straight up bets, whether that's lines, that's totals. They got prop bets, odds boosts, lots of different options. Whatever your style is, MyBookie makes it easy for you to play your way and to get paid. Sign up now at mybookie.ag and take advantage of our generous welcome offer to score a massive first deposit bonus up to $1,000. All you have to do is use that promo code you see on the screen there, SECU. But the fun doesn't stop there. You can get up to the minute odds, free bets, expert predictions, so you can get some information as well via MyBookie. And then also you can bet on anything, anytime, anywhere. If there's a sport out there, they've got it, and it's mobile friendly as well in terms of the website. Use the promo code SECU to secure your welcome deposit today. So, guys, enjoy this film breakdown of Greg Penn, and we'll be back on the other side to wrap things up. Okay, as bad as everything was a year ago for LSU defensively, and all we heard about was lack of discipline and different things, you can see that at different points in times, things fit and things went the way they were supposed to go. Right here, we're going to have, and I'll go ahead and mark it, we're going to have a run action that the running back comes this way. But as a little bit of an eye candy, you got this guy crossing through he's kind of going to try to seal the backside, but he kind of gets caught up in the wash here. And you also have quarterback coming out this way, where Jalen Henderson is a real run threat, and he's a guy that could mess you up with your reads and things like that if you're a linebacker. But what LSU ends up doing, and I'll change the color here. We'll go with a little bit of a blue to show what LSU does. They take these defensive linemen, and they're getting a little movement into the gaps to the right. He's going to keep contained here, and then you'll see a safety come down in the picture that would have Jalen Henderson if he were to run the football. Greg Penn is right here. This is number 30, Greg Penn, and he just stays patient because everybody up here gets blocked. Even Omar Spates ends up getting blocked on this action. And what you're going to see out of Greg Penn is him just kind of sift through all this trash and end up making a tackle right here. So let's watch this on Greg Penn on this inside run. You can see him just staying patient, reading his keys, boom, making a tackle. Great job. All right, so Greg Penn is not just a guy who has to line up right here over the middle of the ball. There's a little bit of versatility there, and we'll go ahead and mark him. He's going to be right here. This is Greg Penn. He's off the edge, and what we're going to see here is out of LSU, this is a 4th and short or a 3rd and short, a short yardage situation where you're going to see A gap here, B gap here. He knows Penn, because he's an inside linebacker, he knows that Omar Spates is going to come fill off of their tails and have the C gap right here, and he knows Weeks is coming off the edge is what they've got. So he is kind of in a in-between position here. He's not going to have to come and play right here off the C-gap. He can widen just a little bit because he knows he's got that inside help coming. Also, a safety can come and fill. But he's going to be coming right here and end up taking on this block right here. You're going to see a Texas A&M fullback or tight end come out here in this I formation and try to kick him out on a power play. So important that at the point of attack that he does not give ground, is able to squeeze this thing down. And with his first steps being a couple steps out, it's going to be even more difficult. So let's show right here what happens. You can see him widen just a little bit, but then boom, hold the point of attack and be able to stop that short run. So watch once again, they're communicating. Greg Penn, boom, stalemate, point of attack, great job. Greg Penn's a smart football player as well. You know, inside linebacker, you would hope that he would be. He's going to be right here, okay, and we're going to see this 3rd and 7 here late in the game. It's in the 4th quarter from Texas A&M as they are trying to drive down here and get even one more score. They were up 24-21 at this point. So when it comes down to it, this is a big play by Greg Penn, and we're going to show you kind of the concept that comes up here. It's going to end up being a drive concept, and this receiver is going to end up coming on a shallow, and you're going to have this guy kind of widen and coming and running a dig route behind it. So that's that drive concept that you see a lot, and you got to curl out here on the outside. Notice that there's nothing, if there was a back or if this guy was coming across, if there was something bringing out towards the flat, that would probably widen Greg Penn right here in his coverage, in his zone drop that he has, but nothing brings him back out. So let's watch this on the snap and see what happens. So you'll see the number 2 and number 3 receiver down there at the bottom towards the tiger eye. They're going to cross. Greg Penn kind of just patient right here. Look, he nothing drug him out. So he didn't just continue to, if he just continues to float out here towards the flat, then this guy would be coming wide open in this window. But what he did when he saw nothing drew him out, he kind of just stayed here in his hook curl area and then has a feel and works his way back in to the football. The ball goes up, he picks it off. So let's watch it again, the full thing through. So you're going to see that switch at the bottom with the 2 receivers. They're going to go up. Oh, they're going to switch. Greg Penn stays patient, drops towards the middle, interception. Great play. Okay, once again, Greg Penn, smart football player and a football player that has good enough closing speed to make big plays like this. His last play of the game here against Wisconsin is 4th and 25, 4th and forever, and he knows the situation here. He knows that they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 that are going to be in protection. And what he's going to end up doing is kind of almost green dog blitzing right here. He's going to see that this running back is going to step up to kind of protect and see what's coming on. And he knows that he's got a guy that's going to work his way down into the picture and end up coming as well. And Greg Penn is going to kind of run his way through here, because what ends up happening is this center, they're working their protection this way, kind of opposite, so it didn't work out for Wisconsin. But Greg Penn comes through unscathed, and then he is able to run down the quarterback. So let's watch this right here. There you go. You see he just kind of comes through off of Mason Smith right there and ends up making the play. So let's watch it one more time. You see there comes all into the picture there. Greg Penn comes through, makes a play, great closing speed. So there you have it, guys. Greg Penn does a lot of different things. He's a guy that I think just the leadership standpoint alone, being in the middle of that defense, how he is physical at the point of attack, how he can do multiple things in terms of picking up people in coverage. He can be a zone dropper. He can match up with a guy in man. He's athletic enough to do that. He can green dog blitz. He can do a lot of different things that Blake Baker is going to be able to utilize in this LSU defense. And like I said, with questions in front of him and behind him, it's going to take someone who is a leader and has a versatile skill set and has that experience inside the SEC to be successful. I think Greg Penn is going to be invaluable for Blake Baker in 2024. Guys, let us know what your thoughts are. Also, we'd love for you to continue to tune in here for all of your SEC coverage. We've got everything that you could want coming from a standpoint of the March Madness coverage for all the SEC teams. We've got, if you're a big LSU baseball fan, we cover SEC baseball as well. So everything you could want, baseball, basketball, football, it is right here on SEC Unfiltered, the best SEC entity on the internet. Thank you so much for tuning in. God bless you. And we'll catch you guys next time to talk more LSU football, more SEC football, and all things SEC right here on SEC Unfiltered.